Welcome to the Rise and Rise of the Perimenopausal Princess with Jade Sterling. I'm your host, Jade Sterling, a perimenopausal woman who once found herself sitting in her car wondering what the purpose of life even was, at a time where it felt like that there was a mist over my body, mind, and spirit. The world was telling me that perimenopause had arrived and I was expected to surrender the next 10 years or so to survival, to ride the wave, to just get through it. But as a Generation X warrior, I knew there had to be another way. So I went searching for something to believe in, for something, anything to feel better. What I found was a compass, a map, and a process. Now I'm here to lead others out of the mist, out of the silence of the patriarchy, and into the highest level of personal power available to us. A portal into a version of yourself that you may not even know exists yet. With my experience as a women's health nurse, coach, and almost 5 decades of life as a human being, I'm honoured to be your guide on this journey. Be prepared to feel inspired, empowered, reawakened as I guide you out of the mist and into the next most powerful chapter of your life. Join me as we explore the stories, secrets, and strategies to help you reclaim your power, purpose, and peace in perimenopause. Hello and welcome back to the Rise and Rise of the Perimenopausal Princess with Jade Sterling. I'm your host, Jade Sterling. It is so lovely to have received your feedback that these episodes are soothing your soul and that you're able to just sit back and listen in the craziness of everyday life, and that is completely my intention to be able to do that. I hope that you're able to just put in your headphones and even just hear the sound of my voice to just transmit a softening and a dialing down of the nervous system, transmitting that feminine energy that we need to push, that we get to attract, that we're in the space where we can learn how our nervous system really works so that we can actually have control in the next half of our lives without needing it. Oh, that's a big paradox of life. I actually shared that recently where I saw a post on social media where someone had shared, and the quote was, "Be happy with what you have while you're working towards what you want." And I thought that's actually the meaning of life, for me anyway. It's like, that's the whole non-attachment. That's the whole being able to be fully immersed and engrossed and working towards a goal, goals that light you up, while still being at peace with what you already have. And so that is completely my aim in all the work that I do now. It's my motivation and my intention. In fact, I've just completed my first goal where I publicly announced I wanted to make $10,000 in a month, where I had no work at the time, no clients, and no clue how I was actually going to do that. But this was a test that I felt after years of preparing for it, kind of in a way, to be able to put everything into practice, follow my own pathway, which is the positive energy circuit, and follow my steps to be able to draw in $10,000 to flow into my life regardless of what was actually happening around me. And that, I really chose that goal as a symbol of power in today's society, being able to be a perimenopausal woman in the throngs of midlife, to be able to step in her own personal power, financially, energetically into abundance. And the total figure, I'm pretty sure it ended up being 6 weeks, because I realized I started that goal at the end of a month. And I decided in that moment I was going to actually place it into the portal of the positive energy circuit, which at the time was a 6-step program, 6 steps to be able to get you to where you wanted to go. And it ended up being 6 weeks, and at the end of 6 weeks, I ended up with $10,896.12 in money that had flowed into my account through me, not through my husband or any other family member, but through me in that 6-week period. And the fact that it was a little bit different in the way that I had anticipated didn't give me any doubts that it's not working. And so I've come to the beginning of a new declaration and a new goal that I've announced, things that I want to achieve. But also I want to just tell you a little bit about how my journey has led me to be able to help other women achieve their wildest goals. Now, I think that I talked about the Wild Goal Activation Program last week, where after the 6 weeks of being able to achieve my goal, which I just put out there without any expectation that it was really going to happen, but with every intention that it was going to happen, that is such a big differentiation to make and then integrate and embody in your life. It's one of the things we go deep in. There is intention and then there's expectation. The energy is very, very different. The energy of intention is grounded and solid and certain, clear and calm and confident. The energy of expectation is clinging and grasping and attachment and wanting and craving, and that energy is not magnetic. That creates repulsion. That actually creates things that you want to attract into your life to be repelled by your energy instead of magnetized, which is what certainty, calm, congruence, confidence does when you set an intention. And so after accomplishing my goal in a way that manifested for me, that really felt deep in my body, I realized, I actually had this big realization, I've been having it a lot lately, just almost like I'm having it again for the first time, but it's happening reoccurringly every day, that I don't want to leave this life with any what if. Now, at this point in my life as a 47-year-old perimenopausal woman who was so miserable 5 years ago, eventually found peace and calm and hope. I then went on to, I guess, support other women to just find that place where I talk about over here, negative emotion, deep in negative emotion. Negative emotion is not bad. We need negative emotion so we can experience positive emotion. But negative emotion has its place and its purpose for us to be able to feel it, move through it, and get stronger. Because I've talked about this before, our emotions are actually like dumbbell weights for our mind. We need to pick up our emotions and hold them, and sometimes they will be heavy and they will burn and burn and burn like a big heavy weight, but then we just need to put it down. And what happens when you pick up a dumbbell weight? Your muscle actually burns and it burns and it burns, and what it does is deliberately damages the muscle. It rips apart the muscle fibers and the muscle gets damaged, and then the muscle realizes that, oh, I need to be stronger to hold this weight. And so it works frantically to rebuild muscle fibers stronger this time. That's how we build muscle, because then it will build up and it'll get bigger in volume and get bigger in composition, and then we end up with a bigger muscle that helps us lift heavier weights. Our emotions are the dumbbell weights for our minds. We need to pick up our emotions and hold them and hold them and hold them, and it may burn and burn and burn, but then we put them down, and in the period where we rest, the nervous system rebuilds and it goes, oh, I need to be stronger to hold this foundation. There's a difference between recalibrating and restructuring in relation to resilience. There's also resilience that creates damage over time. So we have to be able to make that distinction as well. But resistance is a good thing to be able to acknowledge, just like when you're holding your weight, resistance training, but then when you put it down and you don't resist anymore and your body gets a chance to relax, recalibrate, restructure, then that's how we actually get emotionally stronger as well. And so negative emotion primarily in your life after a period of time will create damage on the inside, the body, the mind, and the spirit. So I help women go from this place where it just doesn't feel good, because it doesn't need to be that way, to what I used to say was over here, is where you just felt peace and calm and relief. But now I've readjusted my timeline. Timeline's not the right word, but my spectrum for being over here to getting to here, right where my mic is, peace, calm, relief, to over here, which is living a life that feels amazing, that you didn't think was possible, where you're achieving things that you never thought you could or never thought you would, particularly at this particular point of time in your life. I support perimenopausal women and women between 35 and up, really. I have lots of women who are past menopause who do come to me just wanting to recalibrate in the world after their children have left home or they've lost a loved one or things are happening at this time of life. It's not harder to adjust. It doesn't have to be harder to adjust and recalibrate, but it's more challenging if your nervous system has been wired the same for 20, 30, 40 years. I've been watching my beautiful mother-in-law over the last couple of years recalibrate after losing her husband of 49 years. They were actually just 2 months away from celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary when my father-in-law passed away. And I think that that's a long time to be in the space coexisting with another human being. Your whole, not just your nervous system, well, your nervous system, I do believe, is connected to more than what we just physically see. So it is just a huge recalibration in the world, and it's not just going to happen overnight. It's going to take years. If you've been vibrating with a certain frequency for 50 years, that's a huge big deal. You can't just be expected to just get on with your life and carry on like things are normal. No. Anyhow, in the course of my own evolution, talking about getting women from here to here and then over to here. Now, look, when I was over here and just feeling so miserable and sad and not motivated and so tired, I remember having this conversation with my husband, and we were sitting down and we were looking at colors for something. We must have been thinking, we were looking at repainting our house, and we were looking at the colors, and I was just sitting next to him, just watching like this, and then I closed my eyes while he was talking, and I remember waking up. I'd fallen asleep, even though I was still sitting upright with my eyes closed, sitting down looking. And look, that is a sign of a nervous system that is just shutting down. I couldn't even keep my eyes open. Didn't really think I was depressed, but knew that my mood was, because there, of course, is the difference between clinical anxiety and depression and the mood and emotion of anxiety and depression. We'll talk more about that another time. I didn't think I was clinical, but I knew that there was something going on there. If I can't keep my eyes open when I'm just having a conversation about colors, my nervous system is trying to shut me down. And being over here at joy and abundance and achieving impossible goals was like, what? My brain didn't even, it wasn't even a thing. There was no register, there was no radar. But getting to here where I just had peace, relief, and energy, and enthusiasm, and could give a hoot, that's where I wanted to be. I didn't necessarily want to change my life dramatically, but I just wanted to be in it and be happy about it, or just be open and content and energized and curious. And so that is what we do in the positive energy circuit. We move from over here, which is a predominance of negative emotion and a nervous system that is either in fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, to over here where we just find relief, we find peace, we find calm, we find clarity, we find perspective, and we find some positive energy that charges us to give a hoot. But also not just to give a hoot, but to feel it and actually feel present and feel a contentment in where we are in our lives. But taking myself through my own process, this is what I've been doing for the last 5 years, just over and over and over again and upgrading in different ways. This time was different. This was when I launched this particular series of the rise and rise of the Perimenopausal Princess, because I realized that there is another destination. Now, I'm going to say this just with an awareness that I actually saw a clip from the Diary of a CEO podcast on Instagram interviewing Brené Brown. And he says to her, what is the most important thing that you have learnt in your life? And she says, that I will never arrive. And my first thought about that was, oh, that's sad. Because I've been feeling over the last 5 years, going from here to here through the positive energy circuit, I've arrived. Then I get a new baseline. I've arrived. But then I get a new baseline. I've arrived. And then I realized, oh, I keep arriving and I keep arriving and I keep arriving. And through the last positive energy circuit, I ended up over here. Didn't just arrive. I arrived at a platform, and then I built rockets to launch me towards something that I didn't think was actually possible for me to achieve. I went to over here. I arrived there. And now it was like, this is why I've entered another step in the positive energy circuit now. It's 7 steps. The 7th step is integration, because then you have to recalibrate back to where you are now. Getting over here becomes your new baseline, and you actually need time to integrate that. And you can stay there for as long as you want. But then you can move forward to then continue to upgrade. And I realized that that is what Brené Brown means. It's not, you don't actually ever arrive, because there is no final destination, but you continuously arrive. You can see it either way. And I think it's whatever lights you up and inspires you to keep going. The initial way she said, I will never arrive, that obviously gave her freedom to drop into the moment. But for me, I've been playing with, particularly the last week, that I am always arriving, and I have the opportunity to arrive again and again and again and again, and recalibrate again and again and again. And it's all an upward spiral. And I talked about that last week, where it's an upward spiral of ascension when we think like, oh, how did I get back here, and the same patterns and the same habits? But then we get bigger and we get stronger and we learn more and we do ascend. It's all ascension. But then in the spiral down, we might drop into some older habits, but we're not down here anymore. We're up here, and we can more efficiently, more quickly, more confidently spiral back up into ascension, where we can access that clarity and confidence that we know what we're doing, we know where we're going, and we can keep going. So for me, it's a continuous arrival, and it's continuously showing up. And so that is how I then went on to create the Wild Goal Activation Program, where I realized that we've got the positive energy circuit that I have now taken off the shelf for a one-on-one coaching program, which is what I was doing. I was actually charging $5,000 for people to work with me very intensely in the positive energy circuit to get from here to here. I still feel, someone said $5,000, and now what are you charging? Now I'm charging $27. I've created as a digital program and put it out there for you to buy and keep and do over and over and over again. And someone said, well, why is it decreased in value? And that is really important to be able to address, because it hasn't decreased in value. When you paid a premium price, you actually get premium results, and you also get the time with me to activate and really plug into the positive energy circuit. But this is changing lives. And I realized that the actual framework people can do on their own. And all you need is the framework. So I've broken it down into the barest bones at $27. It still has the value packed in it, but it's for you to implement it into your life in a digital program. And from there, I know that you can upgrade your life again and again and again. But when you're ready and you've been able to create a new baseline where you're over here and you're coming to over here, when you feel the peace, you feel the relief, you feel the centeredness and the certainty of where you are and who you are and what you want, and the acceptance within yourself that what you want you can have. That one of my coaches said the vision that you have in your head is real, even if there's no 3D evidence of it around there in your daily life. When you can get to that place, we're ready to launch, to achieve a wild goal, which is willing to suck at it, seemingly impossible, where you want to let it be fun and you do it, or you want to let it be easy and you want to do it for fun. That's your wild goal. And the work that we do is building rockets from the platform that you have created, that you have the ability to do. And when you're opening your mind to perspective and seemingly impossible goals, that's when you need a coach. And that Wild Goal Activation Program is available for you, which is now the one-on-one coaching that I do for you, where we meet once a week by Zoom and we go deep into the positive energy circuit and we build rockets to launch you into awesomeness. I think I've definitely adopted that word in my vocabulary. I'm not sure if it really exists, the word awesomeness, but I'm definitely taking it on. Maybe I need to trademark it. I don't know. But there's processes, and within that you have your compass and your map, which I give you to be able to find your way so that you never get lost again. So this is a really exciting time for me and for you, because as I continue to elevate myself physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, energetically, I want to take you with me. And this has become what it's all about for me. And so my next goal for myself and my next intention, which is where I'm at right now holding this energy, is to help 100 perimenopausal women by Christmas. Today is the 11th, I think it's the 12th of November, 2025. In whatever space and time you're listening to this, I have set the intention and the declaration that my next goal is going to help 100 perimenopausal women feel better, choose freedom, and achieve their goals by Christmas. And whether that be through Positive Energy Circuit, which is available to you through the link in the description below, or the Wild Goal Activation Program, which is also available. It needs to be an application process where you actually work very closely with me, and there is more information about that too in the description below. So I just wanted to share all of that with you and transmit to you that anything is possible. And if peace is the only purpose that you need right now, it is totally available to you, no matter where you are in space and time and what you're doing. And I know this because I've gone through the process myself. I have walked through the fire, and I have a fire extinguisher for you. And so if you need it right now, definitely reach out and connect with me, and let's put out the fire. I often talk about, and I know I've talked about in previous videos, where sometimes we need medical help and health professionals and medical intervention, which is partly why I still do acute care work as a registered nurse, and a lot of work in women's health where we're actually putting out fires all the time. If your house is on fire, you would, I hope, call in the professionals to come and put out the flames and establish you in a place of safety. But when you are safe and the crisis is over and you're left with the ashes, that's where this work of coaching comes in. We can make magic in your ashes. I hope that you can settle into your body today, just remembering to inhale in through your nose like you're smelling your favorite scented flower, and exhale like you're blowing out a birthday candle. And remember to own your path and create your peace. And I will see you in the next episode. And that's a wrap on this episode of The Rise and Rise of the Perimenopausal Princess with Jade Sterling. I'm your host, Jade Sterling. If this episode landed, resonated, or even cracked something open inside you, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, or share it with a fellow midlife warrior. If you're ready to dive deeper and join me on this quest towards power, purpose, and peace in perimenopause, check out the show notes and get your free Positive Energy Circuit mini power session, your map out of the mist and into the next version of you. Until next time, I'm Jade Sterling, and this is The Rise and Rise of the Perimenopausal Princess with Jade Sterling.